Hey, Brian here. Before we get started today, I just wanted to give a shout out to the Home Service Freedom event at freedomevent.com. You really want to check this one out. If you're an owner or manager, I say this all the time. We need to be at conventions every year, rubbing shoulders with the top people in our industries every year. But if you're a technician or a salesperson, the first conference I actually went to was like 2006. It was put on by Jim Abrams, and there was like Lou Holtz was there and some pretty cool names at the time, and all the speakers in our industry who've kind of turned over now. But it was like mind blowing to me. I got to meet top producers in the industry who were doing revenue that I couldn't even dream about. And it gave me this view into the world where I'm like, I'm not doing enough. But it really was life changing. And it's a memory. Every one of these things that I go to is a memory that I would never trade for the amount of money I spend to go. So I actually go to like 3 to 5 conferences a year now. But this one's my favorite every year, the Freedom event that's put on by Tommy Mello. You'll see some of the top producers really in the history of our industry in terms of sales and revenue. But you'll also meet some of the biggest guests to be on the Waste No Day podcast. I'll be there. Tommy Mello, Ken Goodrich, Tom Howard will be there, and Chad Peterman, Aaron Gaynor, Ellen Rohr. I feel like I'm leaving some people out, and I feel bad for that, but there's so many people going to be there, and you have the opportunity to meet almost all of them and have a conversation with them. And they're always so free and sharing to help with your business or you running your calls or whatever it is. Also, Jocko Willink's going to be speaking. That's going to be awesome. I'm going to be there trying to get next to him and get him on the Waste No Day podcast. So if you happen to be there, help out with that too. Anyway, Nate and I kind of made a deal with Tommy Mello and his crew that we are putting the referral fee for this back into the discount. So we have as much of a discount as we could possibly offer you. We get nothing for recommending this. So go to freedomevent.com, and in the discount code, if you punch in WND Freedom 2024, that's WND like Waste No Day, Freedom 2024, you will get as big a discount as you can possibly get on the tickets. Hope to see you all there. See ya.
The conversation at the table, I want to say 20% of it's plumbing. The other 80% is where you're being personable with the customer. I don't talk plumbing through all my customers. I'm letting them know I'm a real person too. I'm a homeowner where I have homeowner issues as well. I just happen to have the ability to fix and handle the situations at home.
Welcome to the Waste No Day podcast, a podcast specifically for and about the home services industry as it relates to plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and electrical. More than a podcast, Waste No Day is a credo, a determination, a mindset. It is a never-ending discipline. It is a refuse to lose pursuit. It is a wake-up call every morning to waste no day. Now here's your hosts, Brian Burton and Nate Minnick.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Waste No Day podcast. Your hosts, Nate and Brian, hanging out with you once again and looking forward to another great episode. This time we're putting DJ Carty in your seat, and he's going to be talking about how he is maintaining a $3,800 opportunity average on plumbing calls. Yeah, we're going to shed a little bit of love on the plumbers out there today, but of course, you know what we do. We try to make it as applicable to all the trades as we can, and it's going to be a good conversation with DJ. Before we do that, though, we're going to spend a little bit of time having an introductory conversation with just the two of us, and we're going to start that off by turning to Brian for our quote.
Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not absence of fear. Mark Twain.
The great American author.
Love that guy. Just a quote machine, that guy.
For sure. And what better concept to start off with than courage on a Monday morning? For any of you driving in, feeling a little uncertain, unsure about how the week's going to be, a little bit of uplift in you, that it's not about the absolution or the absolvement of fear. It's about pressing through it, pressing forward, being willing to accept that it is going to happen. I reflect back upon our second conversation with Mr. Black Swan himself, and how he talked about, like, he didn't not experience fear when he was a hostage negotiator. Chris Voss did not experience scary times. He just called them out and labeled them and pushed through it. You can too.
Yeah. Label your own fear. Use some of those Black Swan Group labels on fear. Yes. I'm about to walk into this house. It's not my type of people. I got slaughtered last time I was at this house. I know that maybe I'm a little bit more of an introvert and a little bit on the softer side. And this couple is very pushy. And, both husband and wife are really aggressive and loud. And I don't like this situation. And just say to yourself, like, man, I'm a little nervous about this. Say it out loud, but I'm going to go in here and get it done. And all that getting it done means is like, I'm going to figure out a way to give them everything they want and need off of this service call, but also get the repairs that I probably recommended last time. And, let's face it, if that's you and that was that couple, there's a good chance you didn't even really present because you weren't taking the risk of having some really aggressive rejection.
Brian, we had a conversation not too long ago regarding enthusiasm, and you indirectly challenged me to be more enthusiastic in small chunks. And since that time, I have been trying to apply that, and I've certainly been far more intentional about how I am walking into a room, how I'm walking into a conversation or a training, how I'm walking into my own house for that matter.
Yeah, buddy.
So appreciate the fact that you indirectly challenged me on that, and just wanted to give a little bit of heads up that it is something I'm working on, and you out there in listener land, you can too.
Good. You know why? You know why that's great? Because the people that you are in contact with need it. That's why. And I mean, your family needs it. The little minics need it. Your fellow podcast host needs it. The guests need it. Your techs need it. Your fellow management team members need it. Everybody you come in contact with needs somebody around who's a little bit more enthusiastic than them. We just do. And that's why I love the people who take, we all like people who assume the burden of conversation, because conversation can be a burden, right? So I found early, like a long time ago, that if I was willing to accept that burden of responsibility, I would be, I don't say more popular, but more likable in almost all situations. People are much more open to doing things for you or doing the things you want to do. And like, I realized that the hardest thing to realize is that like everybody is just as nervous as you. Actually, some people are a lot more nervous than you are, but we're just in our own little bubble thinking only about ourselves. And it's just like, I'm nervous. I don't really want to talk. And maybe this person's making me nervous. They are too. So if you're the first one that breaks the ice and breaks that conversation barrier, you win. There's no prize attached, I guess, but the conversation barrier is broken, and now the conversation can begin, and it can be awesome. And if you didn't do it, it wasn't going to be done. So you get that. And you just take that throughout the rest of your life and understand, no matter how nervous you are, whoever you're looking at and thinking about striking up that conversation with, they're more nervous than you. So just go ahead and help them out. Just forget about yourself for a minute.
And you have to learn to recover well, which is something that I'm continuing to try to work my way through. Just this week, got home from work, thinking about how I'm going to walk into the house. 30 seconds into the house, immediate fight with my wife. Just like
like fist fight, like she threw a shoe, like you swung.
It didn't come to blows, but
okay.
if
not this
if
time.
Words,
this time,
if words were punches, some were landed. No. Please, disclaimer, I do not abuse my wife. Okay.
You would know if you did. Sarah is tiny.
But I tell you what, it rings true in terms of like when you walk up to that door and that customer is like, you're all jived and ready to go, and they open the door and like punch you in the mouth, whether it's for physically, ideally not physically, but metaphorically, and they just completely blow up your enthusiasm. The ability to recover well from that scenario is so hard, but so needed. And so don't give up. And especially don't give up on the next time. Keep going out there. Keep putting that enthusiasm out there. Keep being courageous, and don't allow fear or the perception of fear to get in your way.
Yeah, Tom Hopkins had a great thing, and maybe this would be good for you if you come in and the missus is on attack mode, but certainly on your service calls or sales calls, as he said, it was like his first year of selling or something, but he went to the front door and lady opens the door and just like clearly hates his guts. And he's just like not happy to see him and just gives him the business. And he just says, you know what? I'll be right back. And he closes the door and he goes around the back door and he knocks like it's his first time being there. And something to the fact, it's in his book. I want to say Sales Closing for Dummies, but something to the effect of like, I had clearly done something to really piss off the lady at the other side of the house. I wanted to see if I'd have better luck on this side.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Now you want to recover well, right? In any situation, throw some humor in the mix and make sure it's self-deprecating, right? It's at your expense, not your wife when she's angry at you, and certainly not our lovely clients who never do anything wrong, right? Obviously. But do something like that. But, I made that person upset, right? So I just wanted to try another door and see if maybe we could get off on a better foot or whatever. But you can really eat up a lot of bad will with a little bit of humor. Sarcasm and humor go such a long way in sales situations, in any situation, really. We're so much more amicable and agreeable when we're in a good mood. And as Chris Voss talked about in his last appearance on Waste No Day, we're 31% smarter when we're happy. So if you really want to figure out how to get through those objections, get around some of those or hop over some of those speed bumps, make sure you're happy. Make sure you're laughing and having a good time with that client. Make sure they're having a good time. And watch how much smarter you both are.
We could sure all use some smarter people in our lives as well as some happier people in our lives, especially the ones staring back at us in the mirror. And I tell you what, there's some happy people on the reviews these days, Brian. They sure love listening to the podcast, and we sure love hearing about it from them. Who are we highlighting this week?
The best. 5 stars. Just started my sales career in concrete and have been listening for about a month now. Love the message y'all preach and the experiences shared. Waste No Day has improved my communication skill almost tenfold in the short time I've listened. Ephraim the dog.
All right. Shout out to the concreters out there, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, buddy. I don't know if I have that on my list. I think we were up to 16 different industries that were listening to Waste No Day. And this review was actually written February 26th, 2024. And it's now, as we record this, it is July 31st, 2024, or 6 months ago. But I don't read these until we're sitting here on the show. So I actually don't even think I had concrete on the list, but we're going to add them now. Woohoo.
Yeah, man. That's fantastic. And concrete is a great industry, has a lot of opportunity to expand. And I think there's a significant upside for concreters who are willing to do above and beyond their traditional stereotypical concrete mentality, and bring options like stampcrete and dyed concrete and bullnose edging, and all the list goes on there. As somebody who just got some stampcrete done at my house, I love it. And it absolutely sets the house apart from the average concrete patio. So shout out to the concreters out there, and a special shout out to the person who left that review. We do appreciate it. And if you'd be so kind to do so yourself, we would love to read that on air for you as well.
Yeah, we don't want to make this a one of these pieces you just hear the exact same words over and over. Look, there's no cost to this show. We don't make you listen to a commercial. Nothing. We just won't do it. Like, we talk about products and stuff that we really enjoy. We've talked about CRMs. We've talked about call centers and like all these different things that have helped us.
Self-closing toilet seats.
Self-closing. Yeah. Did a whole intro on that.
CPAP machines.
CPAP machines, 100% CPAP machines. We've talked about different products. We've never been paid a penny for one of them. Not ever. Not one single time.
And it is a straight criminal. There's a entire industry of self-closing toilet seats that needs to come listen to this podcast and pay us money.
Big self-closing toilet seat industry is just taking Nate to the cleaners here. All that work he did for them. They're not shelling out a penny. Not a finger has been slammed in a toilet seat since they did that intro. Yeah, but we don't charge anything. We don't saddle you with a bunch of commercials and stuff like that. I know you got to listen to my nasally drone, and that's work enough. But we don't ask for much, but we do ask that you hop on one of these platforms. Apple's probably the best one. Hop on Spotify, hit the 5-star button, Audible. If you have an Audible account, you listen on there. Got to listen to 2 episodes to be able to write a review, but hit us a review on there. It's a big deal. And more than anything, just grab a couple, 3 people and invite them to the Facebook group and share an episode with somebody.
Yeah, man. We know you might be interested in sharing this one today, especially if you're a plumber out there. And it's time now to put Mr. DJ Carty in your passenger seat. Our guest today is DJ Carty. He's been doing plumbing on and off for the past 15 years and is the father of 3 amazing kids, with one who is now working with him at Benjamin Franklin Plumbing in Pleasantville, New Jersey. His son actually eventually wants to open his own location. If he's not serving his customers, he's probably out four-wheeling or on the boat enjoying time on the water with his family, his friends, fishing, or tubing. And I'm sure we're going to have a great conversation today. Welcome here, DJ.
Hey, how are you guys?
Great, buddy. Good talking to you again. We had some,
You as well.
we've done some texting back and
Absolutely.
forth for some time, and then finally had a nice conversation here recently and got to hear all about his $3,800 plumbing opportunity average and on his Service Titan. And I wanted to hear more about it. So I'm like, let's go, man. Let's do an episode.
Absolutely.
What are you tracking? You're tracking $2 million this year out of a plumbing truck?
Yeah. 1.9, 1.7. It's 1.7 to 2. So every year, every 4 years, election year, I know things get hairy. People don't know where money's coming. So it slows down at some points.
Well, you sound like a customer right now, bro.
I know it gets hairy.
you got any other
scared.
excuses for us?
No, I know it gets scary. So this morning I went out and I'm looking at a garbage disposal. That's literally all the call was for, was a garbage disposal. And I said, you got more issues than just a garbage disposal. And I started going over all the pictures with the customer, and a $300 garbage disposal job turned into a $38,000 repipe all the way out to the street after cameraing his line and everything. So I'm just taking that extra step, going above and beyond to where the customer gets the best satisfaction possible.
So you're not going in with the blinders on and the tunnel vision to
absolutely
what you
not.
Calling. Yeah, I remember being a young plumber, and it was almost like I walked in with a toilet paper roll against my eye and the other eye closed, and all I could see was the exact faucet I was called in for, you know?
Yeah, no, you got to see why that faucet is leaking or it's not working properly.
Well, great little teaser there, DJ, and we look forward to digging into more of how exactly you're having that conversation. But as you know, of a Waste No Day listener, we always like to learn a little bit more about our guest and how you got into the trades. So give us your backstory, man.
So I did everything in my power to not become a plumber because that was my whole family. They were in the plumbing industry. I saw how they came home basically beat up. Once the brands came around, you can kind of see how they're taking away from the dragging of the knuckles theory of plumbers to actually innovating with new technology and stuff to make your job a lot more easier. And seeing that is what kind of broadened my horizon of getting into plumbing, going from diesel mechanic to plumber, knowing a little bit of everything about plumbing. I didn't want to do it, and then I fell into it and just blew up with it. I came to Swanee's over at Ben Franklin Plumbing. I started off at doing $400,000 my first year, halfway through the year, up until last year, 1.7 million last year, and just going out and servicing customers. My biggest satisfaction is seeing the customer happy. Like, I pride myself on Google reviews. My Google reviews, you get some techs out there that are asking for Google reviews. I don't ask for my Google reviews. I literally sit there and the customer's like, hey, are you guys on like Google and stuff? Of course, we're on Google. And they go through and they put the review in. I happen to get a nickname from one of my customers, and now it's plastered all over my truck to where everyone calls me the king of plumbing. I'm far from the king of plumbing, but He ran with it. Swanee ran with it. David ran with it. And of course, we all know Mike Chefs. Mike Chefs ran with it.
Okay.
So they plastered it everywhere.
Your crown, sir.
Yes.
Swanee is Stan Swan, one of the
Correct.
original Benjamin Franklin plumbing owners. I don't remember what number his franchise is, but he was an early adopter.
Yes.
He actually has
they've been in business for the Punctual Plumber.
The Punctual Plumber. Yeah. Yes. Love it.
His big dually and everything. He's got it plastered everywhere.
He does like him some big toys, that's for sure.
Yes. Absolutely.
Well, it's a great start, DJ, and welcome to the show, and congratulations on the success. So how many years is it total in the plumbing world?
On and off, about 15 years. Jumping from other plumbing companies, seeing how they do it. A lot of people are mom and pop shops that go in and exactly like you said, they got that toilet paper roll and just look at that issue at hand. They're not looking to solve an issue for further problems and taking preventative maintenance, saying, hey, look, I see this is going to be a problem later down the road.
For sure. And that's so needed in today's trades because it is very stereotypical, as you might say, of the old guard to have that mentality. And yet it really is a disservice to the client to basically walk past all the leaks and problems and, lower quality of life experiences that they're dealing with and pretend like you don't have any solutions for them. So I want to kind of start there with your perspective. Like when you walk into a home, like why do you think you're there? Like what is your job? What is your role when you pull up to that house? What's going through your mind?
First things first, and my job is to make sure that the problem at hand is solved and there is a solution. I don't want them calling another company out and sitting there saying, well, he told me this is the only way we can do it. I want to give them their options. Where I got you an option just to fix the problem right there at hand, but I got an option to prevent anything else further from this situation happening, such as our biggest problem down here. I guarantee you guys deal with it as well. Garbage disposals. I can't stand them. We get at least 5 a week. Everyone thinks that it's a garbage disposal. You can put anything down there. One of the ones we just dealt with is fiber powder. I've never thought I'd see this, but a customer started a fiber pill and dumped all his fiber powder down the garbage disposal. Instead of replacing just that line, because now it's clogged solid with this gelatin, let's replace the whole entire sewer line and you get that warranty with it. And we know not to put fiber powder down your sewer line anymore.
That's a painful lesson.
Yes.
Well, okay. And obviously, what we're titling or focusing around this episode is, your massive opportunity ticket, which is right around the $3,800 per opportunity mark.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's phenomenal. I mean, just kudos to you for even putting that up there. Some guys would love to even hit that as like their all-time high, but to maintain it as an average is just incredible.
That's not sold job average. That is opportunity average.
Yes.
It's including zeros.
Yes.
And I know because he sent it to me. I read it.
Yes.
A lot of people are familiar with the term average ticket. How do you define opportunity ticket differently, or is it the same?
So everything's an opportunity. There's no job that's not an opportunity. It's all if you get that yes. Do I struggle with the yeses? Everyone in this industry is going to struggle with that every guarantee yes, where it's a 98% close rate. Unless you're deleting your estimates out of, we use Service Titan. I don't know what you guys use. That's the only way you're getting a perfect close rate. So I go off of my close rate right now. I'm looking at it because I still got a material list to fill out from today. I'm at 47% close rate for this month. Today's the last day of the month. And in the beginning, when I first started, I was at 27, 28, 32, getting up to 47 and hopefully bettering myself to getting up to them 60s and 70% close rates. That's my goal. It's all hard work. You're never giving up. If you want to make it in this industry, you got to work every day. You got to train. Mike Chefs is big adamant about role playing. Role play with your customers. I know you guys role play almost every single episode you guys do. You have to know what you're going to say to the customer.
For sure.
And you got to fight those no's. And I got to ask my wife. I got to ask my husband. So it's a struggle, but how we get it done is just be open and honest with the customer. I don't talk to a customer where I'm talking down to them. I talk to them as if I've known you for years.
And that's obviously working for you, DJ. And I want to kind of dig into what that conversation sounded like for you, because a lot of people in the trades, whether it's plumbing or HVAC or electrical, whatever it may be, they don't have tunnel vision, but they have tunnel conversation.
Correct.
Right? Okay. So they see the things, they walk by, they see the rust, the pinholes, they see the lack of indoor air quality or the no GFCIs, and the list goes on. They see it all. But they, in their mind, they're called out there to deal with problem A. Well, they just walked by and saw problem B, C, D, E, and F, right?
Yes.
But the client is expecting them to address client or problem A. Now, I understand, everybody's like, okay, yep, do what you're here to do first. Of course, no problem. I get it. But I think in some people's minds, it's difficult to bridge the conversation gap between I'm here to address problem A. What's the client going to think when I start bringing up problems B, C, and D that aren't even in the same vicinity, much less in the same category as what I'm called out here to do? So how are you making that conversational jump? Like, how are you going from the garbage disposal is not working to the water heater? Or, if you're in there and you're dealing with an HVAC unit, how are you going from the downstairs unit to indoor air quality that has nothing to do with the problem you're called out to do? Whatever it is, how are you making that jump from initial problem to additional problems?
Absolutely. So when you get to the job and your main focus is going to leaky faucet, you need to make sure your shutoff valves are able to be shut off if you're replacing that faucet itself. If them shutoff valves are seized, tough to turn, or anything like that, we're going to sit there and we're going to go look for your main shutoff valve. So we're going from, hey, do you know where your main shutoff valve is? And we're moving from location to location to get to where you're looking through the whole house. You're not being sneaky. You're looking for, I need my guys to get in here, get efficiently done, and get the job done properly. If I'm noticing more stuff throughout the job, I'm jotting it down and I'm bringing it up when we have that conversation at the table. And the conversation at the table, I want to say 20% of it's plumbing. The other 80% is where you're being personable with the customer. I don't talk plumbing through all my customers. I'm letting them know I'm a real person too. I'm a homeowner where I have homeowner issues as well. I just happen to have the ability to fix and handle the situations at home. So that's where the problem differs. So bringing that conversation up, I don't know. It's not difficult for me to where I'm bringing it up and I'm going to say, hey, look, here's your options. The main thing is options. If you're not giving options, you're not doing it right, to where you have to throw the whole kitchen sink at this job and then you start taking stuff away. And that last estimate is the bare minimum. They're going to look at it and say, okay, you know what? Let's go with option B. I want option B because you notice this, you notice this. I trust your company. You guys been out here several times. And let's handle it now so I don't have to see you for another year until you come out and do your annual inspection. So it's really just being personable with the customer to get to that plateau. If you're not being personal with the customer and you're sitting there and you're strictly right here, here's your plumbing issue, what do you want to do? You're not going to get a sale. You have to be able to talk your way into the whole house. It sounds harder than it really is. Once you find your niche and your way of talking and your way of doing things, it's going to go smooth.
So if you envision like a connect the dot picture, there's a bunch of dots and they have numbers beside them, and eventually it turns into this picture where you can actually see it. I think some guys would say, okay, I can logically make the connection between whatever plumbing problem is going on. I probably have to trace it back to turning off the water. Okay, that's dot 1 to dot 2. Fine. That makes sense. And maybe shutoffs are involved. So maybe that's dot 3. So dot 1, 2, 3. But it sounds to me like you're getting to like dot 20 and completing a whole different picture that most guys don't see. How do you get past that main valve, DJ? Like, I don't understand it. How do you get to the water heater? How do you get to water conditioning? How do you get to other areas of the house without the customer just looking at you and saying like, dude, what are you doing?
Well, I start off by saying, hey, look, for our annual inspections, I'm going to basically do the same thing for your simple service fee coming out today. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to inspect every aspect of that house while I'm sitting there getting to the problem and say, hey, do you mind if I go into the crawl space? I want to see if I have to run a sewer machine through your drain. I need to know which way those bends are going. So I know, am I going up a stack? Am I hitting your second floor? Am I going the wrong way completely? So I'm going to get my eyes on the sewer line to see what's going on. And 9 times out of 10 on these shore towns, it's still all the 100-year-old cast iron. You're going to find cracks. You're going to find voids in this cast iron. And your camera is your biggest helper. You can have a helper with you the whole time. But once you bring them pictures up from that crawl space and you're saying, look, this is what's down there. When's the last time you were down there? No homeowners going in the crawl space. No homeowners sitting there, hey, I need to worry about my sewer line. These are all things that we deal with on a daily basis. So things, it's our profession to sit there and do plumbing work. We need to show the customer we know how to do plumbing work. So getting down to point 20, it's literally pictures, videos, cameraing a sewer line. You have to be able to have the tools in order to get to that point. So if your truck doesn't have a camera in it, get a camera in your truck. A snake camera, whether it be a Rigid, whether it be a Spartan, they're all good equipment that you need to get your job done professionally. Having Swanee as our boss, you tell Swanee you need something, he's putting it on your truck and you're getting it done. So basically to get to 20, you're going above and beyond. What's Mike Chefs always say? Do the ordinary thing extraordinarily well. We're just doing the ordinary thing extraordinarily well. We're trying to master our trade.
Okay, so it sounds like you're using the DJ special, if you will, like hey, while
the
I'm
Philly
here,
special.
Yeah,
Yes.
there you go. While I'm here, let me do my general inspection or safety inspection or my 21 point this or whatever to help you connect a few more dots and gain access. What happens when the client says, "No, I'm good. Just go ahead and take a look at the garbage disposal"? Like, do you push back on that? And if so, or does that happen? Or,
No, on some jobs, yes, you do get pushback. Why do you need to get in a crawl space? Why do you need to look at that? Well, if your line is clogged, I got to see which way it goes, because if my snake gets stuck in your line, then you're buying me a new snake. You got to pay for the repair because my snake didn't break it. Your line ate my snake. So right then and there, and we literally have that in the price book. Before I run a snake, I give them the price and I tell them, look, if my snake does get stuck in there, you're going to have to pay for the snake.
Yeah, and that's an easy disclaimer conversation to just say, hey, so you understand, this 3-inch, 4-inch, whatever PVC, ABS, cast iron line, it was built to take everything you put down a toilet down it, right?
Yes.
And then if anything gets stopped up, it's also built to take this cable through it. If the cable happens to get stuck, there's a problem with the line, not the cable.
Correct.
So understand that if we put the cable in there and it gets stuck, something breaks, we got to dig it up and get it out. That's because of a line issue, and that's something that you will have to pay for.
That's one of my ways of getting my eyes on your sewer line. And once they hear that and they're thinking, oh my God, I'm going to have to pay you $600 to put a new cable on this. Yeah, go look. Let's see what you're able to do. And 9 times out of 10, you're probably getting a new sewer line. We have a lot of new construction. We don't have a lot of new construction issues when it comes to sewer lines. We have a lot of new construction issues when it comes to improper installation of tanklesses, water heaters, furnaces, and air conditioners. You have fly-by-nights coming through and banging out 50 homes in a little development that are not done properly. So that's where we get our hands in on the new developments. But all these older houses that we have, getting into the crawl spaces, getting into attics and running stuff, once you have these disclaimers, just like you said, you're able to get in there and do the job properly. There's really not much pushback. If you explain everything properly and talk to a customer as if they are a normal human being instead of, I'm the professional, this is it. Everyone's people just like us. So you have to have this customer service tone. Just like I told Brian the other day, I don't look at ourselves as a plumbing company. I look at us as a customer service company that happens to know plumbing. And I want my customers 100% satisfied every time I walk out of that house. And before I take that last step out of their house, I turn and I look at them. Is there any other questions? And the second they say yes, okay, well, let's go back to that table and sit down because clearly I didn't explain it enough. So I actually take that extra time to where I'm explaining it. If you're telling me no and you don't have to call me back, then I did my job properly.
For sure. And obviously, it is working well for you at $3,800 on average. People are saying yes to some really big tickets. And that's where I want to go next because, all right, so somebody's tracking with you and maybe they don't get as many dots connected as you do, but they're still putting some dots together and they're creating some options that have some meat to it, far beyond just, whatever it is, the initial problem. And so they're constructing these options. And I want to dig into your mentality when you're putting your options together. You said a few minutes ago that the basic option is as stripped down as can be. It's literally just fixing the one singular issue that they're having. How are you constructing the rest of your options? Like what logic are you using? Or are you doing checkpoints with the homeowner to gauge interest on things? Or are you more of like, hey, this is what I recommend as the plumber? Like, what's your mentality around putting down stuff on paper that is above and beyond the initial problem?
With most jobs that I go to, I'm dragging the homeowner along with me. The homeowner's by my side the entire time, so they can see everything my hands are touching, minus going into the crawl space. That's where the camera comes into play. If we're in a basement, you're looking at everything I'm touching, you're looking at everything I'm seeing, and I'm pointing it out to you. Hey, look, your copper line should not be purple. There should not be this much corrosion. That should not be leaking. This should not be any which way that it is. Multiple transitions of different pipes coming through your sewer line where you've had Joe Schmo come out with a chuck in the truck and he's sitting there doing these little repairs where you're gluing ABS to PVC back to SDR. You're not sitting there looking past that. In New Jersey, we have codes. You're allowed one transition for your PVC, and you're bringing these codes up and you're letting them know what is code and what is not code. We try to do everything by the book with codes because guess what? It's not my plumbing license. It's Swanee's plumbing license. And being part of the Swan family, once you're at Ben Franklin, you're part of that Swan family. You look at that license as if it's your own. So we pride ourselves on going above and beyond, doing everything the right way by the book. And the warranties that we're putting behind everything, you got to do it the right way. Building that estimate up with the customer right there. Like I said, their hands are damn near your hands. So you're right there with them and you're pointing everything out. And then once I jotted everything down and I told you everything I found wrong, that's your first estimate. That's your big ticket item. Your second one, you're starting to take stuff away. You don't feel you need filtration? Okay, I'm going to take that filter off. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to take this off. And slowly but surely, you're dumbing away. We call them takeaways. So I'm taking everything away. It's not you're getting anything for free. I'm taking it away. If you don't feel you need it, I feel you need it. I'm going to take it away. So my big ticket item, I'm going to have, let's say we have a house with all corroded water lines. You're getting a full repipe on a 2-bathroom house. With that, you're getting a carbon filter. You're getting an RO system. And you're getting a whole new main because it's most likely a galvanized main. That right there, that's a $26,000 ticket all day. Now I'm going to start dumbing it down. Okay, well, now I'm taking your main away. I'm going to not charge you for the main, but we're still going to do the repipe. We're still going to do the carbon filter and the RO system. Your last one, look, all your lines are shot. So let's just worry about the water lines. I'm not going to do the filtration. We'll tackle the filtration next year. But that's your insurance on your 10-year warranty that you got. So do you want to protect the investment that you just spent on all the water lines that you just replaced in your house and keep the filtration system? So that's the breakdown of takeaways. So they're going to look at that and say, okay, well, I'm spending $5,700 on repiping my whole entire crawl space. Why wouldn't I put a filtration system in to protect that $5,700 investment? Because a house is not just something you're dumping money into, you're investing in it to hopefully one day give to your kids. If not, sell it and make more money.
No doubt there. Do you offer a longer or an extended warranty for like a repipe if water treatment is applied?
That's something we have talked about. It's not something that has been in place. Our repipe warranties are 10 years on just a repipe. So that's something we could extend probably to a 15-year warranty if they do it. And that's something I could bring up to David, Samantha, and Swanee. That's not something that is implemented right now, but that is definitely a bonus for homeowners to where they're actually getting something a little more.
Yeah, sure. I like the way that you kind of referred to that as like your insurance, and it just kind of tipped my mind a little bit. Like, I wonder how that would be presented. But good for you, man. That's fantastic. And obviously, offering those big tickets has got to provide some sticker shock to the homeowner who they're typically not informed as to what current pricing is or what really is involved in all these issues. So let's start there. When you're presenting 26,000, well, just five figures. If there's five figures listed on your paper, if there's four figures listed on your paper, sometimes people are like, what? But if you're at the five-figure number, people have got to be like picking their jaw up off the table quite a bit.
Well, that's why we sit down at the table. I'm not giving them the numbers while we're standing up.
Oh, that's why they say you sell on your feet, you close on your seat. God.
Yes. Yes. So there's a lot of different ways around it. Some people will throw it all on a credit card. But one big saving grace for us is financing. The low interest rate, it's 10.99%. Most credit cards are anywhere from 16 up to 28.99%. Being able to hit them with a 10-year, 10.99% interest rate, they're going to be like, oh, okay, that sounds a little better. That sounds doable. It's a car payment. And like I said, it's an investment. You're sitting there investing into a house, which will increase the resale value of your house. Some of these 100-year-old houses, people do get scared because they don't want to sit there and throw $38,000 at a 105-year-old house where they can tear it down and put a $2 million house there with all brand new fixtures. But a lot of people don't have the $2 million just sitting around to knock it down and build a new house.
Yeah, I know I don't. Maybe Brian, but
not yet.
We'll let him figure that. Not yet. Okay.
We're getting there.
Well, it's good that you bring that up. And of course, financing is a big tool, but you still have to hear some feedback or some pushback from the client saying like, I mean, DJ, man, like I called you out here for a garbage disposal and you're asking me to start a 10-year car payment. Like,
yeah,
what? Like, I'm not jiving with you yet. Yeah. How much kickback like that are you getting at the table, or have you done some type of testing of the waters and price conditioning during your let me drag you through the basement to help avoid that conversation later on?
No, there's no testing of the waters. You definitely feel a customer out when you're talking to them. But testing of the waters, no, it rolls off the tongue pretty easy. Once you've done it a few times, my biggest ticket was $68,000. That
Wow.
right there, that was my first time, and I was nervous giving that price. But when you have a 5.5 bathroom house and needed all new sewer lines from the third floor all the way down to the street, that right there, I told them, look, it's not going to be cheap. Let me crunch some numbers. I called him back in about 10 minutes and I said, you're looking at $68,700 some odd dollars. And he goes, yeah, that's about what I thought. And I was like, oh, okay. All right. So I'm right there. Some of these customers, they know what they're getting into. Their husband couldn't fix it. They're calling out a professional for a reason. They're not calling a professional out for a $200 fix. It's going to be anywhere from $5 and up on the pricing when you're calling a licensed plumber out. If they wanted a cheap fix, they're calling a handyman. And that's one thing I've learned talking to customers. They know it's not going to be cheap coming out. Our warranties they're better than most companies that are around our area. There's a couple out here that match, if not are identical to our warranties, but our warranties from the mom and pop shops are way better. So you got somebody that, one, answers the phone. That's the number one thing. A lot of the customers I go to, they've called around and called around and called around, and nobody either returns their phone call Nobody comes out when they say they're scheduled to come out. We always answer the phone and we always show up and we're within our window. That's one of the biggest selling factors on that end. Also, dispatchers. We have one dispatcher who is absolutely amazing. Karen, she is a tough cookie. You can sit there and see a call on your board and it's a backed up toilet. And you're like, oh, I don't want to go to this backed up toilet. You sit there and you're already in your head. You're prejudging this call before you get out there. And she says, suck it up. You're going to this toilet. You deal with it. You go to that toilet and you find out that the whole sewer line's completely collapsing and that's why it's backed up. Well, then if it's 120 foot dig, you're at 25,000 right there. So that's just a dig with a permit.
And hopefully you're swinging by Starbucks on the way in next morning to hook Karen up, right?
Hey, if she was in the area, yes. Karen, unfortunately, doesn't live in our area. She's down in Virginia. We're trying to get her back home, but she's stuck down there.
You can mail a gift card, buddy. You can mail. I got your back, Karen.
You know what?
I got you.
You know what? You're right. You're right. We're going to get on that. No, she helps out big time. So having a dispatcher that kind of pushes you rather than sit there, okay, well, I'll give it to somebody else. No, she's a tough broad, and we love her for that. So a lot of kudos go to her for where I'm at on numbers. Because if I was the old me when I first started with Swan Plumbing, Ben Franklin Plumbing, and I was like, I don't want to do this. I'm coming from a different service side where I'm going in, I'm picking up the parts, I'm fixing it right then and there, and I'm out of there. I'm on my way home. This, you're sitting down with the customer, you're going over details, you're making a slideshow yourself with all the pictures that you took from this job. And it changed my whole outlook on service and sales. I'm coming from just a service plumber to now a service and sales plumber. And jumping into this field, it was scary at first. And then once you got the hang of it, it's hard to explain. It's a walk in a park now. Once you find your way of talking to a customer, just like talking to you guys, like I've talked to Brian, Nate, I somewhat talk to you, but not like this. But Brian, me and him talked on the phone the other day. It's like we've known each other for years. You just got to be able to talk to people. You got to have the gift of gab. If you don't have the gift of gab, you're not going to make it.
So were you born with the gift of gab or did you develop that gift?
Honestly, so my grandfather did siding and windows and screen repair. So going as a kid with my grandfather and seeing him talk to these customers, hey, look, I'm fixing this screen, but that screen up there, it's starting to fade away and it's dry rotting. Let's replace all these screens. Seeing him do that as a kid, I was 8 years old, 7, 8 years old. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that screen. Well, no, it's preventative maintenance. If this screen's already dry rotting and everything, if he goes up to that one and touches it, sure enough, it's going to break. And he would get that whole house, all new screens. And that's how he started JC and Sons screen repair. And he just blew that business up to where he's moving my grandmother out to this nice, beautiful house in Port Republic. And seeing him, like that was my best friend. He passed away. And seeing him and how he talked to customers is how I've learned to talk to people. He never talked down to one person because he came from nothing and made something of himself. And me coming from a mother who was a single mother and growing up to the man I am today and the father I am today, it's looking back and giving thanks to my grandfather for giving me that gift of gab of being able to talk to anybody.
Yeah, I appreciate a man who appreciates not only his background, but the people who helped him there. So shout outs to all the single moms and the grandfathers
Absolutely.
and the dispatchers who've helped us all along the way to get where we are. And a good reminder to give them an extra thanks, for what they've done in your life. And yet I also want to reflect upon the fact that you too have made changes and differences of your own. Yes, encouraged by others, but you still had to apply it. You still had to be the difference in your own life. And when you reflect upon, the plumber that you were when you first started to the plumber that you are today, like what would you say are the top 2 or 3 significant differences as to why you're experiencing the success now that you weren't then?
Training, discipline, and David Pomalis yelling at me. No, it's a lot of training and discipline. When I first started here, I was rebellious to where I didn't want to put that white shirt on. I didn't want to wear this uniform because I'm coming from a company that you're wearing shorts, you're wearing t-shirts. Now I see this uniform and I'm like, I feel important. I'm sitting here. I look like a professional. I don't look like Chuck in a truck coming in saying, hey, you need $28,000 worth of plumbing. I'm not going to listen to somebody in a t-shirt. I'm going to listen to somebody that's in a collared shirt that's actually looks professional, talks to me like I'm a person, and goes for it. I have sales guys that come up to my door and they want to put a new roof on my house, and I'm like, okay, well, let's hear your pitch. It sucks. I sit there and listen to it. I'm like, nah, you're doing this all wrong. You approach this completely wrong. And he said, well, what would you have done different? I said, first thing I would have done is I would have showed up, knocked on the door, left my ladder on the truck and said, hey, I'm coming around. I'm giving you free estimates on a roof. Do you mind if I just go up and peek at your roof and take a look and see if there's anything I could see? Thinks we're doing a couple of roofs in your area. He goes, what? Why would you do that? I said, well, how are you going to tell me I need a new roof just by standing on the ground? I want you to get up there, tell me that I need a new roof, and then see if we do business. So he got his ladder and he got up on that roof and he was like, yeah, you need a new roof. I said, it's 24 years old. I know I need a new roof. But I wanted to see you put in that effort, put in that work to tell me I need a new roof instead of just standing on the ground and say, hey, your roof looks old. Make that effort. Show me some pictures. Tell me why I need a new roof. And sure enough, that kid came back, I want to say 2 months later, and he said, just off of what you told me, I sold 5 roofs in this area. I said, well, I'm still not buying a roof from you. But it's just little tips and tricks to try and show our guys. We got a couple great service guys that I work with. Andrew Peart, he's one of the up and comings. He was a crown champ last year. I pride myself in giving him a little bit of know-how of how I do my jobs. PJ, he's been a crown champ for 3-4 years in a row now. And we learned stuff from him. And then we got our good old friend Mike Zizzo, who he's been a crown champ for 5 years. Last year, he was out of the game for a little bit because he took a management role and then came back and still finished at $888,000. And that was coming back in June. So he almost got the crown champ. And we have an amazing team over here in Pleasantville. The way that the brands word everything, the literature that they give you on how to do what we do, if you follow it, if you do it by the book, you're going to get your sales. They don't sit there and tell you to put your floor savers. They don't tell you to put your floor savers on for no reason. There's proof behind the pudding. You walk into a house, almost every house I go to, and I put my floor savers on, a customer's going to sit there and say, no, you don't have to. I got to clean anyway. Look, I know what I walk through. I don't walk through my own house with my boots. I'm not going to walk through your house with my boots on. So right there, floor savers, a big thing. It shows that you're caring for their house. And that's your initial meeting of a customer. You put that hand out. Andy Elliott, stick your hand in their chest. The second I get to the door, my hand's out. Hey, how are you? Big smile. I'm DJ. What seems to be the issue? Oh, well, I told him on the phone. I was like, it's the telephone game. So they're going to sit there and write what they think you said on the phone. I want to hear from you. Let's take a look. Let's get to that problem. You tell me what's going on. I don't want to read it. And sure enough, you get that customer talking and it's nonstop. It's great the way I do it. I can't explain how I do it to the max. I guess you got to see it to witness it. And that's how Andrew is. Andrew saw how I've done a couple jobs. Andrew today, he went out to a customer's house and same thing, sewer line issues. And he walked away with a $28,000 ticket today. So right there, that's over $60,000 just in plumbing off of 2 jobs.
Sweet.
Yeah. So we're learning.
You are. And I want to focus on that learning piece there because I'm sure there's some listeners who are hearing what you're saying and they're thinking to themselves, I mean, I don't get it. I go in there, I offer options, I talk to the customer, I point out things that should be addressed. I sit down at the table, I present. $3,800 per opportunity. Like,
But did you pet the dog?
Wildest but did you pet the dog? Yeah, there it is. Okay, guys, that's the takeaway right there. That's the difference.
You got to pet the dog.
No, I'm curious though, because I'm sure some people have that mentality and they're saying like, I'm doing the right things, man, but like I'm nowhere close to that. What do you say, or have you seen other guys who the difference between your way of doing things, their way of doing things? Like, what are some pointers that you commonly see not occurring that you think would make the difference?
The difference is the conversation with the customer. You can't strictly sit there and be this plumber that is a plumber. Honestly, you can't go in there with this plumber mindset that you're going to sit there and just sell plumbing to this customer. You have to go in there and be a human being. You can't be a robot. Hey, I'm DJ with Ben Franklin Plumbing. I'm here to look at your clogged toilet. Okay, let me auger it. Have a great day. No, your blinders have to be off. You have to make this effort of getting through to the customer and talking to the customer. Crack a joke or two. Break the ice. There's no rule against not joking around and being a fun person. We're plumbers. It's a crappy job. Pun intended. But you have to make light of the situation. They're already stressed out with the plumbing issue that they have at hand, where their water heater's not working. It could be an easy fix where it's a gas valve. But if it's an 8-year-old water heater with a gas valve that's faulty, am I going to sit there and throw $1,500 to $2,000 at a gas valve install or a pressure relief valve with a bad expansion tank at something that old? Your water heater's only going to last you from 8 to 11 years. Or are we going to replace it and give you a new warranty on a brand new water heater? Or are we going to upgrade you to a tankless so you get that efficiency rating and then you're getting them tax rebates? It's all breaking it down to the customer and what best suits the customer. It's your house. You know your pocket. I don't know what's in your pocket, but I'm going to offer you financing. I'm not going to be scared and hold back. Oh, no, they're going to hate me if I throw this $60,000 option at them. You don't know what's going to happen if you don't try. You can't be scared of throwing options that high at a customer. So in order to get that ticket, a $3,800 per ticket, you got to throw your options out there and don't be scared to throw the whole kitchen sink at it. As I say, you're throwing them the kitchen sink. Hey, how old is this bathroom? Have you thought about remodeling it? Because if we're remodeling it and we're bringing it down to the studs, then we can replace all these water lines, all these sewer lines that are in here. If you want to redesign it, you haven't had the house that long. This is how the old homeowner had the house. We can do it that way. There's ways of talking to the customer of getting these big ticket items. Filtration, that's one of the biggest things that's destroying the houses down here. You can lift the toilet tank and all you smell is a swimming pool. It literally smells like a swimming pool when you take that lid off. And they're like,
nah, that's just
why
Jersey,
does it smell
bro.
like that? It is Jersey. It's horrible. It's horrible. I moved into this house 2 years ago and we were running the kitchen sink and I'm like, oh, what the heck is that? And sure enough, it's just chlorine. I got my test kit out of the truck. I tested it. I'm over 5 milligrams. And I'm like, this is disgusting. And we're showering with this. So next day I went to the shop. I said, Swanee, I need a carbon filter. Let's get this done. And that's before we were dealing with Brita. So now dealing with Brita, I'm waiting on my City Soft system to get delivered because that's going in next.
Sweet.
But you have to believe in the brands. You have to believe in the products that you're selling. And don't second guess yourself. Confidence is key in this industry where I'm not walking in and, no, it's, here's your issue. This is the solution. What do you want to do? I'm not going to sit there and beat around the bush. If I see something wrong, I'm telling the customer. I can't sugarcoat it for them.
Absolutely not. And obviously you aren't, but I want to bring us back full circle here to something you said a while ago. And that was the fact that you grew up in a distressed environment, right? So your grandfather came from nothing, not making an assumption, but single mom, probably tougher on the financial side would be my guess.
Absolutely.
Right. So you didn't come from money.
Mm-mm.
You didn't come from generational money. You didn't come from direct money. And a lot of times it gets in the way in terms of presenting out of your own wallet. We've talked about this a time or two. We've had Andrew Dobbins on talk about, we did an entire episode about selling out of your own wallet. And, real briefly there, the concept is you filter everything you present by, would I pay this much for it? Could I afford this? Would I choose to spend my money on this if it was me? And especially for someone who's come out of a distressed financial background, where money was tight and like you didn't have just thousands or hundreds of dollars laying around to do plumbing repairs or upgrades or whatever. And now you're over here presenting $68,000 options to a client and averaging $3,800 every single time. How did you make that jump? Like, did you ever second guess, the fact that you're presenting such high dollars in plumbing, and how did you overcome that?
In the beginning, I was always worried about the customer's pocket and what the customer can afford until I learned the aspect of financing. And that's where that question comes in. I know I'm throwing a big ticket item at you. What can you afford monthly? Let me build your estimate that's going to break it down monthly for you to where I know you can afford it if money is tight. There's plenty of single moms around here. There's single fathers around here that are struggling. So I empathize with them because that's the area I grew up in. And I'm not going to sit there and do you a disfavor of not giving you these options when this is what your house needs. I'm going to give you this option because that seed is planted at that point where either you're replacing, repairing, or fixing this issue now or 6 months from now. I have customers that are short on cash, and I might not sell it now. A month ago, I gave a customer an option back in September or October, and they just signed. And that was for, I believe that was a $12,000 option, but they didn't have the money right then and there. Okay, here you go. Here's my cell phone number. When you have that money and you want to move forward with the work, call me. Either they call me or they don't call me. I don't twist a customer's arm to, well, you need this. That's where it comes into the play of I don't always get that yes at the table. So that's why my close average is lower than a lot. I don't look at the close average. I look at my numbers. I don't even look at numbers. I'm a customer service guy. I don't care how much I'm going to make. I care about that my customer is satisfied and that I know I won't have to see this customer for a whole nother year. Then when we're going back in that year, we're inspecting all the work that we did. So that's a year of wear and tear on the new water lines. That's wear and tear on the new sewer lines. That's, hey, how do you like this carbon filter? It's going over that. So tackling the numbers, I'm not looking at their pocket. I don't know what you have in your pocket, so I'm going to sit there and throw the option of the big ticket item. But that's where my takeaways come in. If you don't present the options, you're never going to know if you are able to sell that big option.
You're right about that. And yet there's still some trepidation or some hesitancy, I think. And even you said in the beginning that you struggle with that to a degree. Was there a revelation? I mean, you said you don't want to do a disservice, but I mean, nobody wants to do a disservice. It's all about perception and how you're framing that in your mind. So like, was there a moment or a particular time or incident or a customer that kind of shifted that for you and said like, well, wait a minute, like I just walked out of here and I did that client, like I did that disservice to the client. Like, was there a time when you kind of made that shift or was it a gradual change for you?
So there was a job that I did sell and I sold a repair and it was quite a few repairs in the crawl space. And I'm sitting there in my head, I'm like, they need a repipe. Like they need all these replaced. But you know what? We can fix them up, get them flowing. It's a Band-Aid. Well, what happens to a Band-Aid? The second it gets wet, it's falling off. And sure enough, that's what happened. It fell off and I came out and I'm like, hey, we're going to have to replace all these. Well, why didn't you tell me that last time? And I'm like, that's because my heart got in the way where I'm like, I feel bad. It was an older customer. And I do have a soft spot for my elderly. I did do a disservice on that one. So from that point forward, I was like, no, I'm not going to not give you this option. I'm going to throw everything at it. And if it sticks, it sticks. If not, something's going to stick.
Yeah, that's a good story. And what a great like reminder or touchstone moment in your career to say like, no, the last time I tried that, this is what happened. And nobody liked it. The client didn't like it. You certainly didn't like going back there and redoing it again. And frustration for everybody. And so what a great just moment that you can go back to and say, this is why I make this presentation. We talk about replacement. We talk about big tickets. We talk about doing the whole thing instead of just partial.
Yes.
Well, this has been great, DJ. And as we're bringing things in for a landing, people may be interested in learning more about you, your story, or how you're having such great success. Is there a good way to find you?
My cell phone number is 609-276-5457. Anybody that has any questions, wants to learn, wants to come to Pleasantville, do a ride along. I have no problem helping anybody grow in this business. I told Brian the other day, we are one big team. We're not franchise by franchise where, I got to be better than this franchise. No, I see what Lancaster does. I see what you guys do out in Scottsdale. I see what Service Minds does, the numbers that they put up, and it's amazing. And seeing what they're capable of doing, I know that Pleasantville location is capable of doing it as well. So if anybody wants to learn anything I'm doing or see how I interact with a customer or how I get from that garbage disposal to the crawl space, call me at any point in time. If you need to come out, contact David Pomalis or Mike Chefs and set it up. If they're able to put you up in a room, it's over in Atlantic City, hey, they might take you out to dinner. Bring me too. But
all right, let's go, Nick.
Learn.
You want to get a room in AC?
Let's go. You want to come out? You want to learn? Be my guest. I'm willing to teach anybody of the stuff that I know. And if there's something that somebody can teach me, I'm an open book. I'm willing to continue to learn and continue to grow in this industry.
It's such a inviting offer, come to Pleasantville.
Yeah.
Leave behind all the other places of this world. Come to Pleasantville.
There's no stress here.
No, not at all. None. It's perfect.
Well, we're going to wrap it up on this, DJ, and this has been great to hear from you, and we celebrate the success that you're having. I'm sure you run across some people who, they're not experiencing that success, and they hear you and they're like, I don't know, man, that guy, he must be just running like these easy street calls, or like everything just falls in line for him. It's so easy. It just ain't that way for me. Take us out on some encourage, maybe even some challenge, a little bit of motivation to change your perspective that you too can have a $3,800 opportunity ticket. You too can be, delivering high levels of client service and not even having to ask for that Google review. You too can be living in Pleasantville and experiencing amazing plumbing. Take us out on some encouragement and some challenge, man.
Every single call is an opportunity. Do not look down on a call just because you think it's not going to become something, because once you get that customer to be your family member at that point, whether it be 1 hour, Mr. Sparky or Ben Franklin, you get that relationship going with that customer and you make it grow yourself. You sit there and build up whatever you can with this customer, and you're going to see these numbers start changing and growing to where you never thought it would be. I have a 16-year-old son that is working with us at Ben Franklin for the summer, and he sees both sides of it. He sees me coming home. When I come home, I literally have my tablet sitting right here ready to continue to work. This isn't a 9-to-5 job. You got to have dedication and work 24/7 with this company and grow. And it's fun. Once you get your niche, it's fun. And then seeing where I am in life, I didn't think I'd be where I'm at in just 5 years of being with this company.
Yeah, it's definitely not a 9-to-5, and it's a great thing to mention. It's like, for me, it's 6:30 in the evening here in Scottsdale, but you're in New Jersey, and Nate, you're in Pennsylvania, and it's 9:30 at night for you guys.
Yep.
And about 10 after 5, I would say it was my time. DJ texts me and he says, "Hey, I'm heading home from work right now," and we start this thing at 5:30 my time. I'm walking up the stairs to my studio, aka bedroom, and I'm like, "Oh crap." It's not 10 after 5 for DJ. It's after 8. Like,
Yeah.
guy's heading home, and he's going to get home at 8:30 and jump on a podcast. And now it's 9:30, and you know what I mean? Like, so one, yeah, definitely not a 9 to 5 gig. But two, hey man, we really appreciate you hanging out after a freaking long day of work.
Absolutely, anytime.
And throwing the AirPods in here and kicking it with us. And hopefully, you know, you've kind of gone through the door of finding real financial, among other things, but financial success in this industry. And you doing these kind of things and throwing your cell phone number out, it's like the door was getting ready to close behind you and you just slammed your foot in the thing and said, oh, you know, let me hold this open. No. Like, come on in, guys. Let's slide in here, you know?
No, let's make it a party. And this is a growing industry, and you're going to make more money than you know what to do with once you start putting these options together. And it's fun. David gets mad at me all the time. I come in, hey, I just bought a razor. He's like, for what, shaving? I'm like, oh, no, it's a side-by-side. He's like, for what? I'm like, to go riding. And he's like, but you're spending too much money. I was like, look, the more money I'm out here spending, the more money I got to make you, because I got to pay for these toys. And he sits there and cracks up. I got a problem with toys. It's just like Swanee. He likes his toys. I like my toys. And having 3 kids, they enjoy the toys as well. So if I'm buying one thing for me, I got to buy 3 other things for them. So it's all about making money for not only the company, but for myself. And seeing the growth that I've done in just 5 years of being with this company, I never thought I'd be on the sales side of everything. And it's fun, and it's only growing more and more. It's one heck of an industry to be a part of, especially the brands. I know a couple people that have worked for 1 hour, and they were like, oh, you got to do these meetings, and you got to sit there and wear this uniform. And they would talk about it. I'm like, it doesn't sound horrible. And then I get into it, and I'm like,
keep your truck clean. Stupid.
And I come into it, and I'm like, this isn't that bad. And I was like, okay, the shirts are a little hot in the summertime. But now, it's uniform. I don't want to say military-wise, but you're respecting a military guy when you see him walking in his fatigues, going into Wawa. You see him, you're going to hold that door up. I know you don't got Wawa out there, Brian, but
nope.
Walking into Wawa and stuff, you're going to hold that door for him. You're going to show him respect. We put these uniforms on, and the customers, it's a respect thing, and I love it. We're in an amazing industry. The brands are great, and I'm not sitting here with knee pads trying to kiss up, but it's great how they directed this to help other companies grow and say, hey, this is the way it needs to be done, and you're going to make millions of dollars. And sure enough, you got Service Minds. Yes, they own half of Florida, but you see Service Minds down there, what, 4 to 6 million just on their electrical side. It blows my mind how much effort that they put in to doing the numbers that they put. And it's crazy. Lancaster's always top 5. And that's where you're at, Nate. And it blows my mind. That's where I'm trying to get Pleasantville. I want Pleasantville up there in the top 5. We've hit top 10, but working with my guys, I'm like, guys, we're better. We're better than the numbers we're throwing up there. Let's throw more numbers up there and help these customers out, run more calls, stick it out one more call longer, and you're going to see the change. So like I said, it's not a 9 to 5. We're up at 5 o'clock in the morning. We're at the shop by 6:30. And you saw me. I'm walking in my door at 8:15 to jump on a podcast with you guys.
Well, kudos to you, man. And we're cheering for you to keep up that success. Keep passing it on to the next generation, to your peers. We appreciate you taking some time to spend with us tonight.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys. You guys have a great night.
Good chatting with you, brother.
You as well.
Well, hey, that's a wrap for this podcast. We hope that you enjoyed your time with DJ. He had some great, simple, and applicable things that you can be doing to make your presentation more effective in the field. Always good to hear from a plumber, and a plumber who is having great success right now. We want to encourage you to be connecting those dots to find ways to get the client involved and engaged into other areas of the home, to eliminate that tunnel vision, to eliminate that tunnel conversation, and to begin performing the holistic service that the client does indeed deserve. If you want to talk to DJ more or learn more about him, he did provide us information. Hit him up, let him know what you thought about his show. And of course, we'd love if you'd spend some time leaving us a review as well. We really want to leave you now with our weekly challenge, which continues to be the same: to choose to wake up each and every morning and waste no day.